I'm sure you can. One, two, three, four, five.
So, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge Jazzrock TV Live.
Ja, fantastisch, Georg. Super, wie das wieder klappt hier.
Ich muss hier noch
Pünktlich
so
um 21:02 Uhr geht die
unfassbar,
Maschine
ne?
an und wir sind on air. Und ich habe wieder den Ton an
Du hast
vom
wieder so eine
Stream.
Tonschleife drin. Ich
So,
aber
und
auch.
jetzt ist es weg sein.
Wir müssen hier noch üben mit dem,
Ja, wie oft muss man im Leben denselben Fehler machen, bevor man daraus lernt?
weiß ich nicht, keine Ahnung.
Ist das dann
Paar
so eine
Mal.
IQ-Sache? Wenn der
Keine
IQ nicht
Ahnung, ja, weiß ich
ausreicht,
nicht.
macht man 20 Mal denselben Fehler hintereinander.
Wieso?
Aber ich bin auch ein bisschen aufgeregt heute, weil wir
Ja.
haben heute was Besonderes vor, ne?
Ja, natürlich. Wir sind zum einen nicht Donnerstag, sondern Mittwoch aus einem bestimmten Grund, weil wir nämlich einen großartigen Gast haben.
Ja, und wir machen eine Live-Schalte über den Atlantik hinweg in die United States und haben da in Portland, Oregon unseren Gast sitzen. Jetzt könnt ihr schon mal raten, na, ihr wisst es vielleicht schon mal, Georg hat es schon angekündigt, wer da sitzt, ja,
Wir holen ihn mal dazu. Herzlich
würde ich
willkommen,
sagen.
Jarrod Lawson. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, my friends.
Hey, Jarrod, how are you
How
doing?
are you? I'm so good. How are you?
Yeah, you're looking great. You have a new style since last time I saw you.
Yeah, we call it the COVID grow out.
Also we call it
COVID grow out.
we
Yeah,
call
me
it
too.
Corona style, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
Corona. So how is it going with you and your music during Corona? Do you have lots of problems when you can't play live?
Yeah, I mean,
What are you
I
doing?
haven't played a show since March.
Wow.
Actually, the last show that I played here in Portland was on March 10th, and I got the coronavirus that night.
Oh, you got it, right?
You got it.
I got it that night. A friend of mine had just come home from Italy, like literally that night, and he came to this venue. It was it's called the Atlantis Lounge, and several of us got it that night.
Ah,
So,
really? That sounds like a stereotype from a movie, you know. Somebody coming from Italy and then we got it, you know, something. Oh, no, that should not happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast it went all over the world. And was it cool? Did you have lots of symptoms?
It was not so bad for me. I had 2.5 days of feeling really terrible. Like I had, fever, headaches, my whole body ached. It was like the worst flu I've ever had, is what it
Wow.
felt like. And then following that, I had 2 weeks of, complete loss of sense of smell.
I heard about that.
So I couldn't smell anything for about 2 weeks. But I never had any respiratory symptoms at all, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
your
a
voice?
terrible thing, we're still, at least currently in Germany, we are really on another kind of lockdown situation. They extended it for some time until the holidays, and then we see, but, let's hope the people are, thoughtful enough, to do the right things or to not to do the, some things. Let's hope.
Yeah.
You know, partying, private parties are the super spreading events here in Germany. And we also, at the moment, we are also in another lockdown. In summer, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But now restaurants are closed, all kinds of venues for music, theaters, or, swimming, how do you call it? And all the things and sports things are closed. That's kind of awful. When you have kids, you realize that they are staying at home and playing PlayStation or whatever, and cannot really go out and meet friends a lot and so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing is happening here in Portland. We just went back into a lockdown. So all of the bars closed, restaurants closed, for at least a month, I think they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is just so sad, because I think more than anything, it's like the restaurant owners, the venue owners they're never going to recover from all of this,
No.
It's just
Lots,
terrible.
lots
In
of
Germany, we
restaurants.
have a lot of discussions, and for the people that make music and all the surrounding businessness, like sound engineers and venues and everything. I
Yeah,
expect you have the same in the US because these people are suffering a lot because everything is closed. Some of them they have an empty calendar since March,
exactly.
so that's an awful situation, right?
It's true. It's true, and it's really, it's sad more than anything to me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
to see what this is doing to the global economy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
that
we will
that's
recover. I'm very optimistic. We will recover, and it will go
Yeah,
on. Hopefully
yeah,
next year, in the middle of next year, when everybody gets his shot, and then
yeah,
should be fine. And then even more people will go out and enjoy and have
yeah,
party and concerts and stuff. So
yeah.
I'm optimistic that we'll
I'm
get
the
through
same.
that.
I'm the same.
You know,
It's a
there
good attitude.
did
Yeah.
you did you have the time during Corona, during the lockdowns, to work on some new stuff? Yeah, I mean, you have a new album
Mhm.
out. Did
I
it
do.
did you produce it during this year, or was it already finished earlier?
Well, it was mostly finished, I would say, probably to about 90%. But I think what this sort of lockdown situation did do that was great for me, which was give me time to really dedicate and focus in and say, okay, I'm going to finish this record now
Mm.
because I have nothing else to do anyway.
Yeah,
So it was a perfect time for me to really get in the studio, finish up the little bit of vocal things that I needed to do, and then do the mixing and mastering, of course. So that all was done over the past
Yeah.
like 6 months.
I
yeah,
remember
cool.
when we met and when you visited us in our studio last year with Sammy.
Hmm.
I remember, you both were, and you're very excited about, this new stuff and songs and the messages
Yeah.
and everything from that point. And then, now you release the album. So what happened from that time? Did you develop all the songs, or it was kind of combination of old songs and new songs from that vibe of creating something new?
Well, I mean, all the songs were already basically there, except for the song that I wrote for my partner, which is called Eva Lee. It's her name, of course. That's the newest song on the album, but everything else was already written, you know, kind of long before this lockdown situation happened. But when it came to the situation with Sammy, our 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 initial idea was actually to do a separate project from the next Jarrod Lawson record, right?
Uh,
We were going to do a sort of a joint project, a
yeah.
Jarrod Lawson and Sammy Figueroa project. And I think the more that things were developing, we realized that it just made sense to go ahead and put some of these songs just on my next record, because why
Yeah.
not? We can
Sure.
always write more songs later for another project. So
And
Yeah.
there's also a kind of a distance issue because you're kind of Sammy is in Miami, I think, and you're in
yeah, he
Portland,
is.
so it might be the most away points in the US that you
Exactly.
can get, right?
Yeah, unless I lived in Hawaii, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
maybe so, but he's on
What?
the record as some of your old friends that we also met, like the bass player. I think you have a long relationship. You told us even on your first record, but
Hmm.
also you have some horns and stuff. So it's a variety of people. So was that selected when you started recording that, or was it part of the developing the album and the songs already in mind? I will have these people and these instruments on it.
Well, I had initially, so the first part of this whole project was really, I went into the studio, it's probably maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I went into the studio with Reinhard Meltz and Damian Erskine, who are two just like absolutely world-class crushing musicians. They both play
Mm.
with Gino Vanelli. They Reinhardt plays with Pink Martini. I mean they're both like A-list, top musicians.
You know them from Portland or from your
Yeah,
area, or
they both live here, and I've worked with them for many years, and I always wanted to get them on some recordings of mine. So I went into the studio and recorded some basic tracks with them. So some of those were, you know, Universal Chord. Let's see what else. Actually, several of the tracks I recorded just Reinhard on the drums. So yeah, that was actually the first part of this process, was just doing some basic tracks with them several years ago.
Mm.
And then I kind of, you know, was just piddling around with them in my home studio, adding keyboard parts and vocals and things. And then, you know, fast forward to last year, I kind of made the decision to do a whole other set of recordings with a different band. And that was, you know, with the new sort of ensemble that I'm traveling with now, which includes Sammy Figueroa,
Yeah.
Christopher Friesen, who's been playing bass for me for a long time. Corey Limwako on the drums, who's only like 23 years old and just like one of the baddest cats coming out of Portland right now. And then Trent Barstool on the guitar. So
That's
we
the
went into
lineup we saw you last year, right? That's the
Yeah, that's
lineup
right.
when they were touring last year, and we also captured something. So
Yeah, exactly. So that exact ensemble I took into the studio again and recorded basic tracks for Be the Change, How Long, and a couple of the other songs that made it on the record. So it's really, there's sort of like two distinct sounds on the record in a way, that I've tried to kind of weave, you know, in and out and to create a sort of cohesive sound.
Why don't we listen to some music right now?
yeah, I was
Good
about to
idea
say
after
that.
all
I was about to say that because Jarrod,
Yeah.
we got some complaints, you know, in our last show or the show before, because it took, what was it, Ralph? You know, 34 minutes until we
know.
played the first music, and
2 days.
yeah, and people were complaining a lot. So
People are like, shut up, I just want to hear the music. Yeah.
I just saw that Yasmo is watching. Remember Yasmo?
Oh, nice. Yasmo. What's up, Yasmo?
Yeah. And he
Love that
said, let's hear a new song.
yeah, so let's should we a new song, then let's first listen to something from the album, and we have a look to the video later, because the video, well, some people know already, but
Okay,
you know, I picked this song from the album, which for me it's really a great song. It's one of my favorites, and it's Universal Chord. Is that a new song or an old song that you're using?
So that is actually a very old song.
Okay.
It's probably about 15 years old or so. The original idea was, but you know, about 2 years ago maybe, I took the song and I completely sort of renovated. You know, I sort of resuscitated it.
Tell us the story. Let's first have a listen to it a little bit.
Sure, let's do it.
Vibrations in harmony, creating a universal chord. La da 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 da. That someday we will all be listening for. The babbling brook sings a sad melody that soothes the soul, sends you into a dream. The pterodactyl fights have the frequency. It's part of the universal chord. La da 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 da.
I love it.
I love
Some
it. Yeah,
great
really.
Rhodes work on it, and
Thank
I
you.
love the melody you're creating there in your singing and stuff. It's awesome. I mean, it feels like a little bit to me like a throwback to the 70s, to some genre in the 70s, but with new modern and sounds and grooves, and so I love it. It's great, awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure we talked about your influences in the first interview we did a couple of years ago already. But can you tell me again, what was your starting point? What got you fascinated to music? Where comes this passion from?
Yeah, I mean, Stevie Wonder was my kind of, I don't know, what do I say? I hate using the word idol.
Why not?
I just hate that word, but he was kind of like, when I found Stevie Wonder, I realized that what he was doing with music was what I wanted to do with music, which was essentially creating the most beautiful melodies you've ever heard in your life, beautiful chord changes, interesting rhythms, and he's doing layering his own background vocals, and they're doing really interesting things, and not to mention his lyrics, of course, are just absolutely, stunning. So, yeah. I mean, I think that was, even though I had obviously been listening to music my whole life before I found Stevie Wonder, I think that was kind of the turning point for me. I really realized that I wanted to be a songwriter at that point.
Well, was that also the driving the decision to be a professional musician?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Definitely.
And you're not only the singer and the songwriter of the album, you're also the piano keyboard player and the producer, I assume.
Yes.
So that's very similar to how Stevie worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's some of the songs where I'm playing, actually some of the songs I'm playing everything except for the drums, including, bass guitar, regular guitar. So, I've branched out a little bit, and I'm playing a lot more instruments on this record than I did on the first.
When I got your album today, can you see it? So this is a new album. You are listing all the great folks that are playing on the album, and then as the last one, you mentioned yourself. Like, okay, I will play all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of matching what you're saying, yeah. So
yeah, it's just an easier way to say, instead of me listing all the things that I'm playing, I just say I'm playing everything else.
Is this something, is this something that's kind of driving you forward to learn new instruments? Because sometimes we know musicians, they are very good with their instrument, they are professional on keyboards and others, but then they suddenly, let's learn another instrument. Is this something that's driving you? Let's be a better musician on guitar or on drums or something like that. Is this driving you? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for instance, if I get on a guitar, I tend to compose in a completely different way than I would on the piano. It inspires me in a different way. And you could even say that about different keyboards. For instance, I've got my Whirly 200A right here, which when I get on that versus a piano, it extracts different music from me than a piano does. Very different music. It's the same with the guitar, same with, any instrument that you could mention. It inspires you to sort of approach music from a different angle.
Mm-hmm. What is your approach to songwriting? Do you have a certain way you go? Do you have a lyric idea or a melody idea? Or are you just sitting on an instrument and improvising and think, oh, that sounds cool. Why don't do anything with it?
I wish I had a very simple answer. I guess the truth is I explore composing from all different angles. Sometimes it's just a little melody that kind of enters my mind while I'm driving around or something, and I'll sing it into my phone. And then maybe I'll try to, match some lyrics to go with the melody. And then when I get home, I immediately run to the piano and start trying to figure out some chords to fit underneath, to sort of create a foundation for that melody. Sometimes I'm just sitting at the piano and I'm coming up with some cool chord changes, and then I have to write a melody and lyrics to go on top of it.
Yeah.
It just depends. I get inspired in many different ways, I guess.
I remember when we met last year, when you presented this song, Be the Change, that you explained us that it's very important for you also to deliver a message, with your song, not just, hey, this is good cool harmonies. Let's do some kind of lyrics over it. So in addition to what Ralph asked, what is first, the music, or do you think about, what is something I want to deliver a message or some specific topic or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely times when, sometimes I just sit and write lyrics, just quietly on the couch or whatever. If it's something that I really want to say, something that I think is important to say, something maybe socially derived, or something that has, whatever kind of connotation that I feel has value, that maybe people, maybe will incite people to ask questions that maybe they don't normally ask, or, I mean, sometimes that's what I do. Sometimes I just start with that. And sometimes I think that that's the best way, because then you're composing music that really fits the sort of spirit of the lyric, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something, I think we mentioned it in the beginning. I think Ralph said it, that this is kind of what we feel with your music, that everything is kind of locked in, the lyrics, the message, and the chords, and the vibe, and the mood that your song is creating. Everything is matching. I think that's why it's kind of directly going to the heart, or I don't know better to explain it, but I think that's the thing of your music.
I appreciate that. That's good feedback. And that's what I aim for. So it's nice to hear that I'm achieving that, I suppose.
At least for me.
Yeah, right.
I have one question about the producing. Does the producer, Jarrod Lawson, sometimes, or does the artist, Jarrod Lawson, sometimes get in the way of the producer, Jarrod Lawson? How do you, because
that's a good one.
When you have an external producer, he sometimes comes in and he says, okay, no, not that sound. Let's go in this direction and do this and this. Do you have an inner discussion, or are you completely agree with your producer personality, and you say, okay, now the song is finished, now it's cool, it sounds great? Or does the artist say, okay, no, I want to put a little thing here and there more, or whatever?
There are definitely times. There are times when there's a part of me that feels inclined to maybe add something that that just doesn't need to be there. And then, I think what you're saying is that I have this sort of split personality almost. And I'll sort of step into the producer shoes and look at it from a more objective point of view. And then I'll sort of say, yeah, that's kind of cluttering it up though. Maybe we just don't need that. So there is that. I think you're right. There is sort of a confliction there sometimes when you have to play both of those roles. But if you can learn to kind of step outside of the situation and view it from an objective point of view, that's really the key, Yeah,
and your music sounds awesome. Did you ever consider to work with a producer that is not you, some other guy?
I mean, I would love to. I mean, I think at this point, maybe I'm too much of a control freak about my own music. I don't know that I would want someone else making the final decisions about my music, but but maybe like a joint project could be really cool with another producer.
When Stevie Wonder calls,
right.
New record.
Yeah, exactly.
There it says, no, Stevie, I'm a control freak,
Yeah. Get lost.
Get lost. I come and produce your new record then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Jörg, should we have a look at the video?
Yeah, I was about to say that because time for the next music is up. So
sounds good.
Let's have a look into the great video that you created for the song and the album title, right? Be the Change.
Be the Change.
Let's check if I do everything right here.
Where do we go from here? And how do we bridge this great divide? Like watching for a field of flowers to bloom. It's gonna take time to heal these wounds from the trail of tears in our way.
Nice.
That's an amazing clip. You brought all the people to Portland.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only person that needed to come to Portland
Right.
was Sammy.
Yeah,
Everyone
right.
else was already here in Portland. But yeah, I mean, it was very important to me that Sammy was a part of that video, of course, because he's such an integral part of that song,
And as far as I remember, he was also so excited about the story and the message and everything. And when
Yeah.
you visited us last year, he was so you know enthusiastic, all about
Yeah.
this song and creating something and delivering a message. I think that was great, and that's still what we feel in this song, I think.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the record is out now, and you miss your promotion tools to go on tour, right?
Right.
So what do you do now? Do you plan like online web shows, live in the internet or something like that?
I actually just announced today that I'm going to be doing a live stream concert, just a solo, me at the piano. It's going to be on December 14th.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
I heard about that. Lucia told me yesterday, I think, that this will come up in 2 weeks or 1 week, something,
Yeah.
right? So, and that will happen on a specific platform or your website, or how can people access?
It's actually going to be broadcast on several platforms. It'll be through my social media, YouTube, I think several other platforms as well simultaneously.
Very
So,
cool.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be really live, or is it a pre-recorded?
it'll be live. Yeah.
Great, great. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I
let's
hope
promote that.
everybody who's watching too.
I think there's there's always this I hearing that a lot, that people are kind of diverse, should we do as a musician these live streams or not? Should we only do paid stuff, or or give people the freedom to pay? I think everybody has his own meaning about that. I think it's if you have an album on and stuff and bringing your music to people, I think it's the perfect way to promote it. But how's your
Yeah.
view in that?
I mean, I feel like the tough part about it is that you're performing for nobody. You're performing for, there's like, you're in an empty room, essentially. I will be anyway, because of course we've just gone back into lockdown. So we can't even have small gatherings of people, really. So that makes it a little bit tough to, when you're on stage and you're not feeling that sort of, that give and take that you get from being, with an audience. That makes it a little bit tougher to me. And I, quite honestly, I think it's harder to watch these performances also because they feel less tired.
Yeah.
So, I'm really going to do my best to make it feel inspired and exciting.
I think the trick is to adopt to this new way of performing, because as you said, it's totally different what you did before. There's no direct feedback and nobody clapping and stuff like that. But you have the opportunity also to to communicate with people and to react on something. But that's completely different what you guys did before. And I think it may need some time to adopt to it, to create something new, a new style of performing. And that also, for sure, create a platform that gives you some revenue, But
Exactly.
I think, people that really interested in music will, it will work at the end of the day. That's my, view. And I can see some, the other day I saw this live stream of Michelle Willis. I think she's doing every second day or something like that. And she totally, got into it. She's, answering questions and getting feedback from the people, doing something with it. I think this is the new style of, doing a performance online, not just the old style of, hey, I have my, agenda, I play these songs and I'm done. I think that's kind of different and that need to be adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the artist, it might be a big change, but as a viewer, you can have a lot of fun with it. You know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Georg and a friend of us, we watched together, everybody at his home,
Yeah.
the Toto live stream, Toto live concert.
Oh, cool.
And we chatted besides, and you know, had a little
Yeah.
comment here and there, and we had fun,
That's
drinking
cool.
a little glass of beer or whatever, and
Yeah.
it was a great evening, you know.
That's
So
fun.
for the viewer, it can be very
It's also
satisfying,
different, yeah.
you know. Even if you, as an artist, of course, you feel kind of alone.
Yeah.
But
I can understand that.
when you put a big screen in front of your piano where you can see the chat going or something,
Mhm.
that would be maybe an idea, you know, to react. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
But I can imagine there's nothing more, than playing live. And we are also,
yeah, sure.
we are doing these live sessions in our basement and stuff like that. And we fully, support, playing live and having the live, vibe being transported, that's something that we quickly need to return to.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, we're in a transitional period where I think we're trying to figure out what works, and what doesn't work. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
With
everybody's
no-
hoping that it will come back as soon as possible to, playing live shows and everything. So,
Right.
and coming back to your album, so it released a couple of days, actually, yeah, right? When was the official release?
End of October, I think.
end of October,
October.
yeah, 30th.
So, I already said one of my favorite songs. So, what about you, Jarrod? What is do you have a favorite song or something when somebody asking you, hey, which songs should we play? Tricky
That's
question.
much more difficult for me to decide.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is How Long, which is the very last song on the record.
How long?
And,
And that's also a new song, or
yeah, this is
Okay,
this is a very nice song.
then let's listen to it, and then you tell us a story.
You say you want to make the people free. You say you know exactly what they need. But silver spoons don't consort with tattered shoes. And the drogon will fly backwards when they do.
Oh, that's a great one.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's a great one. I need to admit I didn't really listen too carefully to that one. So, but that's another one of my favorites now. You know what I like? This, when you're taking the time for the intro and not rushing into let's start with the first stuff,
Yeah.
and it really takes the time and to evolve the mood and everything.
Yeah.
Cool song.
Patience.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So
When
how
you-
was that developed?
I'm sorry?
How did you develop this song?
Well, this was, one of the songs that, a few years back when I flew Sammy Figueroa here to Portland, and we spent several days just you know, I had borrowed some congas from my friend Jan's, and we set them up in my house. And he and I were just kind of, you know, jamming essentially, and kind of coming up with some cool ideas together. And he had this idea that he wanted to do like a traditional Cuban rumba, but with me singing English lyrics. But to sort of have a similar pattern to a traditional Cuban rumba, which would, as you hear there in the verses, I say some words and then there's a space and the congas kind of chime in. So there's this call and response thing that happens. So we kept to some of those traditions, even though it doesn't really sound like a Cuban rumba, really. But you know, it has, I guess, reflections of that. And then, of course, the lyric, I'm really just kind of talking about really accountability on the part of our nation's leaders across the globe, lack of accountability, I should say.
Yeah.
And more specifically, probably here in the United States over these past 4 years. So
Yeah. Let's not get into the details in that, but actually,
yeah, let's not.
you're in a good way. So let's hope for the future.
Yeah.
But is it something that, you know, as you said, your other styles of music, you know, which is inspiring you? Is there something, as you said, the Cuban stuff? Are there other styles that you want to explore?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I love music of any style if it's well crafted. You know, I mean, I love reggae music, for instance. I don't think that I'll ever probably sing a reggae tune, but I do love that music and I love those rhythms. I love African rhythms in general. I love Latin American, you know, rhythms. I love to incorporate those things into my music, as you must know by now, surely. So, you know, I don't know what else. I'm trying to think.
Maybe
what would you like to hear me do?
If you work more close with Sammy, you know, he might bring some more Latin and Cuban style, most likely.
Well, that was the plan. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And because of this mix of styles that you are influenced by and the players you play with, that's well, I have a problem to put your music into a drawer, you know, and write it, a sign on it and say, okay, this is this. It's
I like
similar.
that.
Yeah, you like it. I know. You probably do, because it's sometimes I would say it's jazz. Then I would say, okay, it's classical singer-songwriting stuff, but with too fancy harmonies, you know, probably.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it's difficult, but it reminds me of how Steely Dan worked.
Yeah.
Do you like Steely Dan? I mean,
do.
Yeah, I'm a big fan because they seem to me don't give a shit about rules of pop music or whatsoever. You know, they did their own stuff, and that's what I kind of see in you nowadays.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's for us Germans, you know, we like to categorize things, you know, have things in order. This is pop, this is rock and roll, heavy metal, whatever, jazz and funk. And
so my music
give us, you know.
My music stresses you out then, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Having a hard time, you know, to categorize it.
Right.
What should we do with this guy?
What's wrong with him? No, I love it. I love it. I love it when you put an album on your record player, if you do it nowadays. But if you get some surprises and you don't have, you know, like a prediction, and you say, okay, it's going to be this, and this is what happens, you know. I love this. Every song has some other elements that are really interesting. You can listen to the music more than one time, and you still will discover little things that you didn't hear in the first or second time you heard the song.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Great compliment for this arrangements also, you know. Yeah.
Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate that.
And where do you work? Do you do everything at home, or do you have a studio, or do you rent a studio? How do you do this?
I do a little bit of both. You know, when I do the basic parts, what we call, you know, making our basic tracks, which would be anything that we're going to record live together as a band, I do at a private studio somewhere. So usually we're recording, you know, live drums and bass, and me on the piano, at least that, sometimes guitar as well, and percussion, obviously. So usually we would do that part at a studio that I would pay for. And then basically everything else, I would, you know, bring those tracks here to my home studio, and I would layer over any of the keyboard parts that I want to do, organ, clav, you know, Rhodes, any synths, all my vocals, any incidental percussion parts that I want to do. I do, yeah, basically all of that other stuff here.
Mm. Okay, and then you have it everything together in your computer, in your Pro Tools or whatever, and then you finish it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then you create great albums like this. So we have one actually we can give away. Of course, you know, we want to promote and, you know, to get people to buy it, but I think we should give away one. So we need a question.
Okay.
So do we have a good question for our audience? You already can see here some people watching and writing nice messages in our chat here. Greetings from everywhere. So do we have a good question? Let's think about. It should not be too complicated. So.
Yeah, Georg, you started it. Now come up with a question.
Shit.
Okay, let's see.
No,
okay,
I have a good
title...
question that also promotes people to listen and check out your other stuff. Not only this stuff, because we talked about that. You had your first debut, you know, I think album when we also captured the show in Cologne. We really have some good memories about that great evening, and then it ended up on the KLM flight, you know, board, TV and stuff like that. So that was really a great thing. So it's also a great album that, you know, everybody hearing you now the first time should check out your first album. And there was another thing that you created. It was an vinyl album, and the question is, what is the place or the orchestra that you recorded that, you know, with this LP? I think it was at a studio or something like that, right? Let's not call the name, but it was a famous.
So so what's the name of the studio?
What is the name of the studio? So I think that's a good question, Ralph, right?
Yeah. I was just getting ready to ask the same thing. Give us three letters in the right order, and you will have a chance to win the new album of Jarrod Lawson.
Yeah, you can win one album. Write us the answer to that question in to an email, info@jazzrocktv.de.
And we can give them. I'll give them a quick hint.
No.
It's a very, very small clue that they probably wouldn't know, but the studio now is defunct, is no longer in operation.
Oh, really? They closed it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah.
But, you know, people can also check out our episode about it. We listened to it. So it was also a great thing for a follow-up of your first album, right?
Yeah.
So that was a great thing. So, yeah, for everybody else, you know, buy the album. It's a great one. We are putting the link to your website and everything in the show notes, so people can just, you know, follow that link and get your great music.
Fantastisch.
Yeah, sehr gut.
So next time you come to Germany, we do everything in German. And
yeah, right. Oh, I wish.
So let's hope traveling and everything will be available, you know, and possible as soon as possible. And then I think we will see massive touring and, you know, live playing, or because all musicians are kind of waiting for it, you know,
True.
kind of ready to go on tour.
and everyone else is ready to go to shows also. You know, and
Absolutely.
people are-
And if not, the government should set a law. You know, you have to go 3 times a week to a concert, movie,
times a
theater
week.
piece, whatever. 3 times a week. You know,
That's good. That's good. It'll help stimulate the
so we have
economy.
to. You know,
And we are also, maybe you saw it, we moved from the place that you know where you met us with Sammy. We moved to a new place.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
moved. It was a very inspiring place. You have been there, right? You know, it was
Yeah.
very
It
cozy.
was
But
a beautiful space.
yeah, but it was a little bit too small. You have seen, you know, when there are people playing, you know, you can play with 2 or 3 people. But so we
Sure.
found an amazing new place with some more space, and
Nice.
it's a great place. And we are just in the process of preparing it, you know, with audio and lights and everything. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure next time when you are touring, we are ready. So
and
you're always welcome.
Oh, thank you, my friends. Appreciate you.
okay. Do we have something to listen to for the end?
Should we listen to another track?
Play us out, Georg, with
Which one? You issued another single, right?
what are you?
Um,
What about Embrace What We Are?
yeah, I
That's
think
the
that's
other-
the
yeah.
second single here to kind of, embrace what we are. Okay, so should we this take as an ending?
This is a
Yeah.
goodbye.
It's a goodbye song. Lullaby of tonight.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks so much. It was amazing to have you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate you guys and your support so much, really. And you're just always a pleasure to talk to.
It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure. And good luck for your show on the 14th of December, your live stream
Thank you
concert.
so much.
Yeah, we're gonna be there. And take care, stay healthy. I don't know if those, if you're now, how do you call it, resistant after
Yeah.
having
Most
corona.
likely.
We still don't know, but stay healthy anyway. And
Thank you. Same
good
to you.
luck for everything.
Yeah.
Take care. So now
All
we're
right,
gonna
so-
listen a little.
Let's listen a bit. That's the wrong
I
song.
love it.
Uh-oh.
That's the wrong song, right?
I love it anyway.
Yeah, but that's also cool. So that's not embrace what we are. That's why don't you call me my baby anymore, right? But that's a good one for an ending, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You used to call me on the phone whenever you were home alone, just to feel the comfort of my voice. Yeah. And now when I reach out to touch your hand, I see the hesitation in your glance. Tell me what's going on. Why don't you call me baby anymore? 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 It used to be some time ago that anywhere I went you go. Couldn't stand to be away from your man.
And next week we're gonna start our episode with Embrace What We Are.